Hi Abhay,
Hi, Abhai.
how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm great, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us for the Collectors
It's
Voice
a
podcast.
pleasure and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Before we start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Currently into stock investment, real estate holding. We do invest in some real estate as well. I've been part of a company, being their marketing head and all that.
So just gonna dive into all the questions.
Sure.
So what sparked your interest in luxury watches?
Okay, so in general, watches, that'd be another story that started from my childhood. But luxury watches, for me, first time my experience was I used to play state level snooker and billiards. Also represented once for nationals.
Oh wow, that's
So
very
yeah,
interesting.
so we used to also, when the senior national players like Dean Sethi, Michael Pereira, they used to come and play in KSPA. We used to do scoring for them.
Okay.
Like in the junior guys, like how they
Yeah.
do for them. So Dean Sethi used to wear a submariner, steel and gold, and that's when I the first time when he was playing on the snooker table with that light, hitting the watch, that totally mesmerized me, and that was the day I decided that one day I'm going to get a Rolex Submariner.
Can you share your earliest memory of being fascinated by watches, apart from the one that you just shared with us?
So early memory would be I think I was about 8 years old or 9 years old, and my dad had got a HMT pilot for himself. And that's I think when I actually started noticing watches, and I told I want a watch, but though I was not very good at seeing the regular watch, analog watch, so he got me a digital watch, and I think that's where the kind of started the whole spark.
How did you start your watch collection journey?
So I started, I think, quite early, maybe when I was 14, 15. Some of my initial watches were SP, there is Timex, and most not the digital ones. The most I always like the analog version of the watches. And my first big purchase, I think I was about 18, and there was this watch called PSI 2000 by Titan.
Okay.
I think it was made by somebody. Titan used to market them with their name, and that was really, that was like a luxury watch for me because back in this was in 95 or 96, and it costed about 7 or 8,000 rupees then, which is quite a big amount. I think you kids, land that time in for that
Yeah,
price. So that would be my starting of watch collecting. From there on, it carried on.
What does watch collecting mean to you personally?
Basically the history behind it. For me, I like to watch more when there is a story behind that. So unless it's not just how the watch looks, but what it has a back history. Something like JLC Roverso has a history behind it. That history is what fascinates me.
How do you define the essence of luxury in a particular time?
So for me, luxury, so in simple words, it would be what kind of the metal that they've used, whether it's a precious metal like gold, platinum, or a high quality steel like our Rolex uses. And basically, the quality of the workmanship is, I would say, is what I would.
What factors do you consider when you're adding a new watch to your collection?
Finance is something what matters, right? The first thing you look when you're buying a luxury watch, I'm sure for anybody, is how much are you willing to spend? Yeah. So because you have to have a budget. Other than that, it's for me, it's how how the watch appeals. When I see a watch, I have to really fall in love with the watch. Something about it has to attract me. That is good. But functionality as such, I'm not crazy about it. Has to be a chronograph or a regular watch. So that's about it.
So it needs to speak to you.
Speak to me. Speak to me.
Could you tell us about your most prized watch and the significance it has to you?
Most prized watch would be my Rolex Submariner that I'm actually wearing today.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, because there's, like I told you, I saw Pete say the first time I decided that I would have a Rolex one day. But then it wasn't that easy, it was quite expensive. I still remember in, I think 2009, we went to Singapore. And Singapore is known for Rolex watches. And those days in India, I don't think so there was many Rolex showrooms, at least in Bangalore as far as I know, it wasn't there. So when we went there, I went to each and every Rolex showroom, took a submariner, wore it, and I used to tell my wife, I remember telling the shopkeeper also that one day I'll buy it. That day finally came in 2014 is when I finally pulled my trigger. I had a few watches before that, I had a few Omegas, Tagware and all that. But the final thing of getting the Rolex, that to the submariner, happened in 2014. Bought it from Ethos, which is in UBCD. And so that would be my most prized memory of my getting my first watch.
That's really nice. You come 360 degrees
360
around that. That's really nice.
Six
That's
degrees around,
amazing. Yeah. So, what draws you to a particular watch brand or a model, if you have any?
I actually love Rolex watches, though it sounds as cliche nowadays that, Rolex, and I don't think so. A lot of collectors nowadays appreciate the fact that, if you say you like Rolex, well, that's a very thing, everybody likes Rolex, right? But I still am a Rolex fan. I love collecting Rolex still. Somehow their simplicity and the quality that they use. So there are maybe higher brands and more, better brands than Rolex. There are something which are different, but somehow, I've never seen a particular watchmaker that has a lineup of watches which all are desirable. Like for example, AP has only one or two models. Patek, you might ask, a few models are famous, few are not, though they're rare. Rolex is something I feel majority. All the watches is true worthy.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. How do you balance your passion for watches with other aspects of your life?
To be frank, I actually look forward to wearing a watch. I normally plan one day in advance where I've already decided which one I'm going to wear tomorrow, and I would sometimes, match my clothing, or if it's formal, then I'm going to wear a leather strap, more like a dress watch. If I'm going to wear casual clothing, then it's more of a sports watch. And sometimes I try to match the dial with the shirt I'm wearing. So that's something that is what I would match my whole.
What challenges have you encountered in building your watch collection?
Challenges, nothing as such. Again, like I said, one of the main reasons is funds, right? Especially when you're doing luxury watches, is you're always you're waiting. You always want to get a new watch, but then you're always trying to manage. So I would still say funds is one of the main things. You want to buy the best watch. That is one. And now, of late after Corona, getting good watches, especially Rolex and all, I think everybody knows that getting a watch on retail price has become a challenge. So I think that would be one of the main reasons. But I think things are changing now, and hopefully we won't go that way again in our life. And we should get the watches.
How has your taste in watches evolved over the years?
So, taste in watches, if I look back, let's say 10 or 15 years back, I used to buy bigger size watches, more chunkier watches, which I think some of them even now they like. But of late, I've started liking smaller dials, simpler dials. Maybe I'm getting older. But yeah, but I like it simple, and though most of my watches are 40 dials, because I think 40 is the least now. Not many people make 38. 39, I think Tudor makes, and a few brands make 39 but 40 being the least. But to be frank, if given a chance, if there's a 38 I would love to have 38 watches.
Are there any particular complications or features in a watch that you find irresistible?
So I like Grand Seiko does a lot of lacquer dials, and they're known for their dials. So that's something that attracts me, a lot. Also their polishing. I can pronounce it right, polish something like that, because I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, but yeah, so they're polishing and a lot of other things. I also like mechanical watches, yes, most of like, but they're spring drive, like something different, though people don't consider that as the proper, mechanical watch, but then at least something different.
How do you stay updated with the latest trends and any developments in the watch industry?
To be honest, off late it's the GMT Magazine, and I'm not saying that because you guys are, but one of the recent things that I've got is, you guys are doing a commendable job, I think, and I'm really, even the quality of the paper that's used is amazing, So it'll be GMT Magazine, and then I've been lucky enough to be part of, a lot of watch clubs and online forums, WhatsApp groups. I think that's the main way to keep in touch with all the watches.
Can you describe the emotional connection you feel towards your watches?
So it's the mood that you're what mood you're in to wear which watch. That I would say is emotional. It's also when you reach a milestone in your life or an achievement, you want to celebrate it by buying a good luxury watch. And that's what I've seen. Whenever I've had, okay, I need to finish this project, I need to hand over this thing. So whenever I've reached a milestone is when I've kind of pampered myself with a luxury watch.
Ever had to part with a watch from your collection?
Yes, but thankfully it's always I have always parted with the watch to get a better watch or something which is more desirable than that. So every time I've sold something is either to upgrade. Most of the times it's for upgrading or getting something. Or what happens is you have a watch for many years. Now you're kind of bored of it, or maybe your personality doesn't go with that particular watch. That's when I have decided to let go of it and get something which is more desirable.
Can you share any interesting stories behind some of your watches in your collection?
So I will tell you a recent thing. I don't know if that is interesting enough, but I had a Tudor Blackberry Pro, which I had bought from a friend of mine. And for some reason, I was, I was not enjoying it so much, and I was also planning to get another Rolex. So I sold that and got the other Rolex which I wanted. But after about 6 months, I really started, missing that watch. This is first time. I mean, it's happened to me for the first time, and I was like, no, actually, and I saw I had some old pictures of it. I was like, no, I think I did a mistake. And then finally, ordered a new one from the Delhi stores and got the same watch back after 6 months of selling it. And by paying much extra, I sold it in a loss and had to buy it at retail. So that would be an interesting story, I guess. I don't know how many people have actually sold and bought the same watch back in 6 months. So that's something interesting.
That's pretty interesting, yes. How do you feel about the rise of smartwatches and their impact on traditional timepieces?
Okay, to be very honest, I also use a smartwatch because I'm into fitness and gym and cycling and all a lot of hobbies. So I think smart watches are good. Everybody should have a smartwatch, but just you should know when to wear it and how long to wear it. It's like I always have it. When I'm in the morning, I go for my walk. I have my Apple Watch on my wrist. I finish my gym. I have my Apple Watch, but then I'm waiting when I have to go out so that I can wear my other regular watches, luxury watches. So I wouldn't say that smartwatches aren't good, they're amazing, but they should be used for that purpose. Because I see a lot of people wearing a suit and wearing a smartwatch. I don't think so. They blend together. So you have a smartwatch for a certain use, but then you should get back to your regular watches. Is what I think. Absolutely, yes.
Do you have any rituals or traditions while you buy a new watch?
No, nothing. There's no ritual or anything. If I like something, if it appeals to me, I just go ahead and buy it. I don't think so.
Find your personal style when it comes to watches.
Okay, my personal style would be I look at simpler designs, not too many complications, something that appeals to me. Or like I said, smaller dials appeal to me now. Preferably a 37 to a 39 is I feel is the right size. But okay, 40 is still okay. Anything above 40 is at least I can't wear. I have a smaller wrist. It doesn't even go well.
Are there any watchmakers or designers that you particularly admire?
Again, like I said, Rolex would be my number one. I somehow love that. But I do like, let's say, an AP or a Patek. A few models like the AP Royal Oak, which I think everybody likes that. They are that one watch. This thing. And then I like Calatrava and Patek more than their more famous ones.
Mm-hmm. How do you find the balance between iconic watches and lesser known gems in your collection?
So to be honest, I have Rolex, I have a Cartier, I have Tudor, but I also have a big collection of HMD watches. The HMD manual winding watches, and I love them as much as I love my luxury watches. And I have the latest versions, which were like 1 year, 2 years old. I not the vintage versions, the newer versions. And I don't wear them much, but then I love them as much as I love my the luxury watches. So I think that's one of the main ways I would balance them out by switching them between wearing them each.
What is your opinion on vintage watches versus modern times?
So vintage watches have a great history. So they have a story behind it. I find them a lot simpler compared to watches what you get in modern days. The present generation is the better metal are used. There is steel grade or the quality of metal ceramic bezels we have, which is scratch resistant. So they have more cutting edge technology in the new watches. So I think that's what defines vintage and the modern watches.
Can you recall a memorable encounter with another watch collector?
So again, so this was one of my memorable recent encounters was with Sharath and CB. I remember. So how I met them is we had gone for a little sale by Ethos. They had organized a sale, and coincidentally, myself, CB, and Sharath lined up at the same time, and and we were the first ones to come. So they made CB, me, and Sharath cut the ribbon, and we kind of and I knew CB much before that also because he's also a biker. I'm also a biker. So that's how we started, kind of talking about watches. We spoke a lot that day, and I was lucky enough that CB was gracious enough to add me in the Bangalore Watch Enthusiast group the same day, which he says usually doesn't happen. They take a lot of time to add anybody to the group. So that will be my recent thing.
That's really nice. It's something totally different to be there in inauguration.
Yes,
yourself.
do it yourself and be have the honor of cutting the ribbon.
Absolutely.
This thing.
How do you see the future of watch collecting evolving in India?
So I think it's a very bright future for the watch industry and for the collectors. See, India is a new market, right? We're still growing. Our economy is, I think, we are the fourth economy right now in the world, and we are moving forward very fast. So, and as you know, as the country grows, your population, the middle class, upper middle class, the what do I say, the economics of the market will become better, and the sale obviously luxury. So I always say, men, we men don't have jewelry like how women have. So our jewelry is the only thing you can either buy a watch or a car or a bike. This is what men can mostly spend on. So I think watch industry has a great future in India.
What do you enjoy the most about being a part of the watch collecting community?
It's meeting like-minded people, who have the same passion for watches and listening to their stories, how they started. Everybody has their own different stories, and bonding and connecting with them. That's the main one.
That's great. Yes. Are there any particular complications or features in a watch that you find irresistible?
So there are a lot of complications nowadays. Like I told in the beginning, I like simpler watches. So one of the main things I like is I like a hand winding watch. So I don't know if that is like a complication, but I find the connect. Whenever every time you have to wear the watch, you need to manually wind it. Not many people do that. I think Omega does in a few watches, but the manual wind watch, I kind of have more connection to it because I feel a little more. Correct, and that's one feature is what I kind of like.
Are there any particular watch trends or styles that resonate strongly with Indian watch collectors?
I think the new trend is limited edition watches. I'm not saying limited edition is new trend, but limited edition for Indian market. So I've seen one or two companies that have now started making limited edition watches specific to India. Either it's about sports or something with either the tricolor or something of that sort. I think that is quite appealing to the Indian collectors nowadays.
Okay. Thank you so much for being with us for the Collector's Quest. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me in your studios and for this interview. This is a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.